I'm Dr. Esteban Garcia, and I'd like to thank the University of Colorado Denver School of Medicine for believing in me.
Believe it. Dr. Esteban Garcia has a bright future. He graduated in 2008 as one of the leaders in his class, but it took extraordinary effort to get there.
Potential was a word that was thrown at me a lot through my high school years, and it was a word that I ignored a lot. When I graduated from high school, I was second from the bottom. I guess I was third from the bottom. There were two of my classmates that kept me from being last in my class. I was involved in drugs and alcohol, and a lot of the students a lot of my friends didn't attend school, and I didn't have any supervision. I didn't have anybody really encouraging me to continue to go to school. It was a difficult time of my life. I felt like I didn't have any supervision because nobody cared. It's hard for a teenager to deal with those things. Even a teenager that might have the potential to go on and do great things, if they don't have somebody providing structure, it's really easy to become angry with the system. I think there was constantly a feeling of, this isn't who I want to be. I can't recall a specific moment where I had an epiphany and said, I'm gonna die if I continue with this, but at some point I realized that I didn't want to be the bum sitting on the corner drinking out of a bottle of wine with no goals. I realized that I wanted to get out of Greeley. I wanted to be successful. I wanted to have a family. I wanted to experience life other than drugs, alcohol, and it took me to leave and go to the Army and realize that I did have some potential. And when I went to West Point and I was successful, I still felt like I had some potential. And then that kind of got knocked down when I applied to 13 schools and got rejected by the first 12. When I got that 13th letter back in the mail, it was difficult to open at first. I knew it was from Colorado. I was expecting a rejection, and when I opened it and saw that it was an acceptance, it was an amazing feeling. I called home, and my mom was so ecstatic. I was coming back to Colorado, and I was going to be home for 4 years, and I was going to be a doctor. And just the change from when I left Colorado, I was that troubled kid that was going away to the Army, and now I was coming back 6 years later, and I was going to be a doctor. I knew that it was going to be a tough road. I knew that I was going to have to work hard, and I knew that I was going to have some rough moments in my medical school experience, but there was never a question of whether or not I should become a doctor. My experience over the last 4 years has really opened my eyes. I realized there were a lot of things that I had never even considered. We have students here that work with battered women. We have students that work with children that are in abusive homes, and they help take the children out and they provide medical care. I was involved in a program at Stout Street Clinic where we provided free medical care for homeless. And so I just really, when I came here, my eyes were opened up to all the amazing things that medical students do. I think that people might have a narrow picture of what medical students do and who they are. They might think that they just sit in class all day and they're the zombies that are walking around the hospital with the short coats on. And in reality, while we have so much of our time consumed by our academic requirements, we also have amazing opportunities to go out and help other people. And my classmates over the last 4 years have just been amazing. The thing is that I wouldn't have agreed to do any of this. I wouldn't have agreed to be interviewed. I wouldn't have agreed to sit in front of a camera if the whole purpose was to show how far I've come. It's hard for me to sit here and look back and say, I've come so far, I had potential, I wasn't successful, and now I'm successful. It's really difficult for me to sit back and see that. And so the only reason why I would ever agree to do any of this is because my hope is that other people will see this, that students that might be having a difficult time, that kids that are in a neighborhood that doesn't regularly produce college graduates, they can look at me and they can say, he was down, he was being kicked, he didn't have any opportunities, and he went out and he was successful. He was given the opportunity from other people to show that his potential could turn into success. And without me knowing that other people might have those opportunities, I wouldn't have agreed to do any of this. The University of Colorado Denver School of Medicine has given me opportunities that I could never describe in words. To give me the chance to prove that I could be a physician, to go beyond just being that young kid from Greeley, Colorado who had a rough upbringing. I can now go out and take some of my experiences and help the patients that I interact with. There'll be times where I'll interact with patients that have a similar background, and it might give me the opportunity to make a connection with that person and help them on more levels than just their medical problems. The opportunity that the school's given me is really give me an avenue to help people in a way that I think is going to pay dividends for the rest of my life.